I've got 6:30 by my watch. Casey affirmed that, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll begin with a roll call, please.
Chuck Angier,
Here.
Tim Ducker, Brian Fox,
Here.
Brian Garrett, Bobby Lovett,
Here.
Ben Weeks,
Here.
Ron Scarce,
Here.
Keith Scruggs,
Here.
Bert Sellers.
Here.
Tim Duffy did contact me, told me he called, I'll do it later tonight.
All right, if I take just a brief second to look over the agenda. Anyone else need any additions or revisions to the agenda? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Very good, thank you. Oops. All right, so let's go to the minutes. I only saw, as I read through them, I saw one typo at the bottom of the first page. It is right on the other spot, it's E-box, it's E-B-O-C, it should be E-D-O-C, that's just a typo.
Where is that?
First page. First page, number 6. Yes, sir.
It's what,
It's E-D-O-C. It's right on the next page, or further down there, I saw the reference again, it was right, so it just. Right there where it says, he said from the E, should be E-box. That was good.
I failed to tell when the fire service has lots of these curves, it's a nightmare.
Hey, we appreciate you doing a great job.
Yeah. We're gonna get on a fire truck for them.
Oh. We'll let Casey train. That's good.
No.
Anybody, no one sees any additional corrections or changes, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written. Motion approved. Motion. Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. Presentations, didn't have any on the list for tonight. Hearing of the citizens, also didn't have any.
I didn't think I put sign up form, so if we have anybody with the letter for now, look in the future without getting the sign up.
Anybody in the audience have anything I'd bring the commission tonight? All right. Fire Rescue Association report, and we will turn to Chief Neal. Good to see you this evening, sir.
Thanks, sir. Okay, basically, pretty much what Dean had last time, pretty much what we have actually had. Since then, we were doing our Chiefs Christmas banquet December 2nd here, and that's been cut to a limited number for the 25 deal, so we've got that coming up to the end. A couple of things you mentioned last time, the SOGs with Instant Command. We still got them out working on them. Also, we're working on name tags for accountability on fire scenes. Also, SOGs for the Rapid Innovation Team, and we had suggested 4 departments we dispatch fire instruction, and that's happening right now. So, all that seems to be working out pretty good. So, other than that, you got some stuff later down the agenda that Chris will go over on you guys. Other than that, right there, that's all we can.
Very good, thank you, Chief. County staff report.
All right. So, okay, appreciate it. Appreciate everybody being here tonight, especially with the holiday coming up. But just a few things. 640, I have no new update. Training, we've been talking about training some. In October, the county sponsored a mass casualty. We did that at Mount Cross. I'm telling you that because I want y'all to understand how, I think, hungry people are for training. And it's great. We did almost a full class over there at Mount Cross. In fact, I think we did pretty much reach the max we could put in there. We've got another one planned for the north end, and maybe even the third one after that, where you're looking at going to trainer, so some of us can teach MCI.
Troy, do y'all have any slots available in y'all station? Troy has got one coming up to Tunstall also. Do y'all have any slots open, Troy?
It's about 5 left.
5 slots. What's the date on that one?
So on Sunday, I think it's the 13th of December.
Okay. Same instructor?
Yes.
And we'll sponsor that. If you just do it, or get with me, I'll get you paperwork and we'll take care of the instructor. Okay? That's not a problem. We got a firefighter one virtual, one of these virtual type classes starting. It booked, which is great. So we're looking at doing another one very shortly, getting this one going to the north end with another one in the very near future. EVOT class, I think in October, I had one at Tunstall as well. It was very well attended, if I'm not mistaken. But in Tunstall?
Yeah.
Yeah. And talking with Brother Mike over here, I know they've had a couple trainings down at their station. Some of the volunteers, I see them now on Facebook where they're out on the weekends doing pump training and other things, and it looks like everything's being really well attended. COVID may put a kink in some stuff for us, and we're working through that as much as we can.
Yeah, we just did a LZ class at ours. They would only allow 15 students, the flight crews, and they have to have masks on the entire class. But we just did one, and then we did an extra case of training following that. So it worked out good.
But the moral of the story is, people want to take it, and we're filming classes. And I couldn't be happier about that. We've been able to do that. So far, so good with that. We've had quite a bit of improvement still with our call responses. And, many of our volunteer agencies have actually hired some of their own staff and are stipend their volunteers. I've noticed our out-the-door time for EMS has improved and getting better. And some of the agencies that were struggling with that, I've noticed they've really improved. So, I think we're heading in the right direction there. Our EMS staff, one of the things that we're looking at doing in the very near future, and this won't change what they necessarily do, it's going to be changing, especially the way they're paid. We're right now investigating moving in from just an EMS only position without a fire EMS position. EMS only position, you have to pay them on a 40-hour work week. So they make a low hourly rate because they get a ton of overtime, which is killing them tax-wise. It's a big morale issue for us. 1 month their paycheck is really high, and the next month it's really low, and it's really high, and it's really low. And, if we go to, under FLSA, if we go to a fire EMS position, then we can work them on a 52 or 56-hour work week, and we can pay them equal across the board every time. The only thing that really changes is some of their job description. It's not so we can put them on a fire engine. It's so I can pay them different when we change their job description. But one of the things that we probably start to do in there is fire prevention activities more than anything. Like going out and do pre-plans, which we want them to start doing. We want them to go out and do some public education, those type of things as well. So
Yeah, so when we hire out authority, that's the way you had to have it listed as fire and rescue in their job description in order to follow that work schedule.
Yeah.
The taxes, the pay scale, taxes and all.
So we're moving that way to make it really improve morale. Then I can also, our part-time rate, I can bring it up. And because we're having a hard time keeping part-time, we need that. So, lastly is something that we're been chosen for as a pilot project, and I've talked to a couple of departments in the outreaches of the county that are interested in this, and if anybody else, I'd be glad to work with you. But we were given 10,000 free masks and bottles of hand sanitizer. It's to go to an at-risk population, which I have maps that show where in the county those locations are. As an example, I talked to Cascade because their area down there has several places that are what we consider an at-risk population. And talking with them about maybe sometime in the near future, we're going to do a door-to-door campaign. So it's a great way for a fire department to do some community outreach, get out there, be seen, knock on your neighbor's door. We'll be working with Pass here on the corner as one of the distributors of that, because they have a lot of at-risk population, and where they can distribute as well. But We just took delivery of this, equipment or the supplies a couple weeks ago. So if we have departments that might be interested in that, I'll be glad to work with you. And, you know, kind of similar to doing a smoke detector blitz where you go out and pick a couple neighborhoods and, you know, where they're at risk and, you know, go door to door putting up smoke detectors. So it's a great way to get out in the community and be proactive, do some outreach. You know, I know the citizens appreciate it. Cool Branch, no new update there. We have not heard anything back from Franklin County. That service will end if we don't hear something by December 1. So I don't know where we're going with that, but the ball's in our court with it right now. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any unfinished business? From the board commission? Hearing none. New business, board supervisor communication. Scares, all yours.
At our November business meeting, we approved a few funding items. First one was $140,000 for the CIP apparatus fund, comes to fire rescue for purchase of the fire apparatus. We also approved the release of $14,000 from the CIP training fund. It's just going to get some training equipment and different things for Mr. Slint. Also approved $295,000 for the Harris Radio Maintenance Agreement. This just kind of came up on us recently, so that kind of hurt, but we got a follow through on that. And we're still continuing the CARES funding for the Dam Life-Saving Crew and the County Regional Radio Project. If you guys don't know, we're trying to get equipment installed, Harris equipment installed on the Dam Life-Saving Crew antenna, which will really enhance that whole area of Danville and not going up into the county. And, I guess one of the big things is going to have a fiber link to the White Oak Mountain part of the radio system. So it's hopefully once we get it all figured out, we're still waiting on some feedback from Harris and from the Danville Life-Saving Crew, but it looks like that's going to be a done deal. So that's all I have, sir.
Perfect, thank you, sir. All right, fiscal year 22 CIP budget request discussion. Back to the director, sir.
All right, so I guess a couple of days after the last meeting, we got the email to start working on the CIP, which I have to have in by November 30th. This is not our operational budget. That will come the next month or so. We'll start working on that. Actually, we'll technically already start to work on it. But our CIP, and this is what I plan to turn in. A couple of things are definite needs. We've got to update some workstations at our county EMS stations. The fire apparatus, and Mike pointed out, I think I did my math wrong there. I think I asked for, put in for 450, and I think I need to bring that down a little bit. But if Mr. Smith wants to give us 450, we'll use it. So, he can be checked. I put in just, you know, one of the problems we're having is keeping enough radios on the shelf for if anybody gets a vehicle, or if we have some radios, we have to send off to be repaired. So I'm asking for just get one more, because the mobile radios for the ambulances are either a dual head or two radios. It's just not one radio. So I'm asking for additional one of those so we can always have extra when we need it. They're really expensive. That's the only problem with that. Medical supplies, $30,000. That's more toward equipment if we have to outfit, if anybody has a special need, something comes up, or we have to get anything, or if we have to outfit another QRV or something of that nature. Turnout gear for staff, which we might find another means for that. I'm working on. SCBA, we've been putting $10,000 a year in the SCBA cylinder replacement, which is just a drop in the bucket. But the other thing we've been funding with that, if need be, are masks. We found out a couple of years ago, I discovered that everybody was sharing masks, firemen were, and that's a health issue, serious health issue. And we used our CARES money to buy some new masks, but we're going to have to continue that every year. And masks are about $300 a piece. So plus you have to be fit tested for them. It's got to be, you know, you have to fit to conform to your face. So we've been pretty much putting that money toward that because of that being a health issue. 35,000 Cascade requested building fund assistance. Yeah, I talked to Mr. Adams and they have requested it. In the past, that's been 30,000, but that's been like that for years, and we've never allowed for inflation, so I think 35,000 is a fair thing. Continue to put 10,000 every year. been able to put 10,000 in our capital training, which paid off. That's so as we grow as a system and we work on training, that's more so if we have to buy the products, or if I need to buy, as an example, if we want to buy another trailer to haul EMS for EMT classes and stuff like that, all around, for those type things. So we've been putting some money aside for that. It was time for us to look at adding or replacing one of the water rescue boats, so I put 20,000 in for that. And then I've been attempting to get a fund started for an air and light utility unit. We're looking at, for one of those, probably between $250,000 and $300,000. So I'm trying to get a starting a fund that, within the next 3 or 4 years, we can purchase a true air and light unit for the county, keep it one of the stations in Hunter work with structure fires. In FY '25, we're going to replace one of our aerials. That's a tier 2 replacement that I put in. That's 1.3 million. I think we need to start looking at, or at least getting that on the radar. Chatham's is going to probably do for you, but I think it's the oldest of those trucks, if I'm not mistaken. And we need to start putting some money toward a training center, a true training center. That'd be a tier 3. That's what we call visionary request. There's a couple things I think we need to talk about is we have some loose standards, but we really truly need a minimum standard for all apparatus. And I think the association and us, public safety, could be working on that. We've sat down a little over a year ago as a group on one Saturday, kind of put some stuff on paper. But I think it's really time to start really creating a true apparatus standard. And for everything we buy as far as fire and EMS. And we also need to draft, we have a CIP agreement that the department signed when they get CIP money. But I think we also need to put that into a policy that says, here are the steps to get the CIP, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, before you even apply to get the money. I think we need to do that. And then I think we also need to start looking at adopting some kind of a rotation. It's a true rotation, but maybe it's not based on just a year. If I got a truck in 2005, I may run a lot of calls and have to replace that truck before somebody else does. So I think we need to start considering a way to come up with a true rotation plan that says, my truck at minimum has to have X number of miles on it before we'll replace it, and be so old before we're going to replace it. Those kind of things. We don't really have that right now. At least it's not right. And then I think we need to adopt here's one of the things I've recommended that we need to probably, just as a starting point for equipment, but that also needs to be geared for inflation. If we give somebody $170,000 as an example for a fire engine this year, well, the guy that gets one 3 years from now, $170,000, isn't $170,000. And trucks are going up 5-7% a year roughly. So, we need to gear for inflation. From what I can tell, we never really geared for inflation very much. So I think we've got to start considering that and adjusting to that. Which one? Or at least a consensus. I think, I'd really like to see over the next 2 or 3 months, us and the association work on a true spec. And I think if we work on a spec, we could actually probably bid a county truck. So when it comes, Mike's turn to get a truck, we have bids, or we can, as an example, use the Galveston, the HGAC contract. But, every truck's going to have to meet some standards from here on out. And we start bringing this into more standardization across the county. So a guy at Ringo goes over to Rossville to fight fire, there's some similar equipment there. And I think we need to start moving in that direction. Same thing, how much hose is on the truck? If Rossville's coming to me with an engine, I need to know that they can lay as much hose as about Herman's going to lay on the ground. And those type of things.
It's like tank size, you don't need to have an engine in this county that has less than 1,000 gallons.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
So those are things I think we need to start really working towards. And, you know, along that, because we have a couple of agencies that call a tanker, you know, 500 gallon, carrying 500 gallons of tanker, and that's a tanker. So, you know, those are just, and we need to start looking at some of these agencies that have pieces of equipment that are 35 or 40 years old, that, you know, don't need any kind of standard. And we start, you know, they're just holding on to it. And that's an issue too, that they're hard to run.
What do you think a realistic timeline would be to set the standards?
Like 3 months?
90 days, yeah, do it.
I think we can go by March, maybe, on a March meeting, I think we could. Would that be a good consensus? I think if we go to the board with the standard, this is just me speaking, especially when I go into Mr. Smith's office and say, this is what we're trying to do, and we've got standards and everybody's adhering to them, I think we bring a lot more credibility to what we're buying, what we're doing. And you know, I've heard some of the board members talking about standardization. Bob Moore brought that up at the finance committee meeting, you know, on that standardization, and, you know, those are questions that were thrown out. So I think we need to start that direction. And you know, I think in the long run, if we can standardize all the expensive stuff, like air packs, as an example, turnout gear.
Yeah, I think one thing that needs to be, I'm trying to cut you off, Chris.
Go ahead.
One thing that needs to really be, maybe even upped on here is your, I mean, I get it, we could probably up all this, but be realistic of getting the money, but, you know, looking at this SCBA replacement, you know, there's a lot of departments in this county that they're gonna have to, not compliant at all. And, you know, that's, you're talking about thousands of dollars just for one unit. I mean, you know, a couple $100,000 to replace a department, so depending on the size of the department. So that's something we really need to push in this CIP for future and standardization. I mean, we run Scott and Rutland. I know there's Survivor in the county, there's MSA in the county. You know, can we get to all agree on, you know, maybe one type of pack?
And I think there, to add to what you're saying, I think if we get to a point where we agree that one pack, and we bid that, so then everybody can buy off that contract, at least we can maybe reduce the price.
Right.
Or even if the county every year can put money toward it, you know, on that.
Well, I know there's a lot of grants up there too, I know JT Mini Malls and
Exactly.
Animal. I mean, they'll spend $35,000 on air packs for stations drop a hat. I mean, they've done it regularly.
And I'll tell you, every year, or every time they put in, you know, Mr., who's got it? Redwood, yeah. He'll call me, and every time he says the same thing, can we get everybody on the same page on air bottles, or everybody on the same page on air packs? And he's right.
He's big on it.
Yeah, so I think it helps us if we can, so, you know, maybe as that part of the standardization, we also include with that air packs and turnout gear. Because those are the big ticket items.
It's because he asked me to, we just put in, they just gave us $35,000 worth of turnout gear, set. And, last 6 years, they funded us every year, multiple times. And, but that's one thing he asked me was, you know, did you get this off any kind of contract, or is there any way we can get this
Yes,
off
we
the
have.
contract?
That's something we need to do for the county, because I just got a grant too, like he's talking about, turnout gear. And I think I talked to Chris and I talked to Dean, we don't have a bulk rate price in Pittsylvania County. So you can go through Lynchburg or Bedford County. The alcohols I just bought were like $30,000 worth of MSA, what we used. And I ended up, I think Mike, it was either Mike or Chris one, got it off Franklin County maybe, you know, off that bulk pricing to get it, see. So that's something we're definitely behind on. With 21 fire stations in this county, we need to definitely get the turnout gear, you know, at a bulk price, and we need to get the air packs at a bulk price. I mean, that's something that we should have done 20 years ago. We have to.
Well, I mean, at least to help out with these grants too, I mean, they like to see that. I mean,
Well, they had to save your turnout gear $500-600. I said it.
Well, it helps you don't see on fire too, you gotta change out a bottle or something, to make sure your bottle works with this pack.
Yeah. That's something you're going to have to work on down the road, because, I mean, like, a lot of us got MSAs in my area. I think I got one that's got Scott, you know. But, you know, we're going to have to weed out the old and put in the new, you know, over a period of time. But you can't say, okay, Mike, we're going to go to Scott, so you get rid of your packs. Well, I got 32 packs, about $1,500 a piece, and I got about 40 bottles, and all of them are pretty new and in date. So, you know, I'm gonna throw away $60,000 worth of breathing apparatus so I can have a skylight survival. You know, you're gonna have to weed it out as you go, ever who has what.
That's right. And I think part of that is, you know, I mean, the county hasn't pushed a standardization, and these departments have been having to buy them on their own, and they're saying kind of, well, if we gotta buy them, we're gonna get what we want. And so if the county kind of pushes and say, hey, we're helping fund some of this, but this is what we need to start buying, that kind of helps.
To get the same stuff. I
To get
mean, you just look around the room, Brian, Carolyn, what kind of packs y'all got for?
MSA.
MSA, what you got in Mount Hermon?
Yeah, MSA, we used to have standardization on gear.
Yeah.
We had county prices for gear, county prices
Yeah.
for SCBA.
It went away somewhere.
So dropped off the board.
Ben, to your point, is that because of protection, comfort, or just price driven, best price?
It's just basically what our department's used to. That's probably if you ask, because if you go to Hurt right now, driving a boat run Scott, and they don't want nothing else. And it's just because they're comfortable with it. They all do the same thing. They all protect. I don't like Survivor, that's just me, but I wore MSA and Scott and like those. But yeah, I mean, but if the county comes and said, hey, we're gonna help you buy half of these air packs, take half of your cost away, all right, guys, well, we're gonna have to be comfortable with MSA, and we're gonna have to get comfortable with that. It's just getting proficient with using the equipment. My guys know Scott, that's all they used to, that's all they want. So when I go buy a pack right now, I'm gonna buy Scott, so that's what my people like. If the county says, hey, we're gonna help assist more money towards that project CIP, okay, then we'll look at, let's all get on the same page. I mean, you know, I don't know how many, the county more likely is probably 3/4 MSA now. But I know Hurt and Russell and the Lake Department are Scots. And I don't know, I don't know who's Survivor, I know it's departments out there that are.
Well, maybe you could get two prices on the county bulk rate. You get Scott, you get MSA. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
it's so big, the county's so big.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them on the southern end of MSA. All the time. And like, you know what you name it all.
If you get everybody in the same air pack, it's a lot better when you have a maintenance situation.
Exactly.
But,
They'll all interoperate as far as for your rip connection, they have to,
But even if the capital funding stayed the same, your savings will come by buying bulk.
Having our own company.
Even if the capital funding doesn't increase.
Right.
You're still gonna have savings to that department.
And we might be able to go in, regionally, because Franklin County's been looking at some stuff, I think Henry County's looking at some stuff, so it may be worth saying, hey, when we write a spec that's similar to theirs, you get 3 counties bid it, then you really get a discount on it. You know, the MSAs, like, our staff, we have MSAs. We bought MSAs because we could buy it off of a Roanoke County contract, and it was cheaper than we buying the Scott sometimes.
the same with the Turner, see, we bought the Lynchburg contract at Roanoke because Lynchburg says, and don't quote me on the days, but I'll just say 90 days. I'm not sure exactly it is, my gear guy reports it, but they have a set date, and so Lynchburg says you will have our turnout gear to us on this day, and every day it's not. That's all comes on top of the cost that you want to do that. So that's why we buy through them, through that contract.
What was it called?
Don't remember. My gear guy takes care of all that. We just got it off the grant, JP Minimal.
Yeah, I did too.
But I think, let me back up, if we could, I think we do apparatus and we do the gear work association, but I think if we're gonna add that, we'll probably bring it back in April. I think it's still, because the December meeting, they're really gonna do a lot of business, collaborative dinner. So they'll come back in January for the meeting part. So I think that it's January, February, March to really work and finalize bringing it in April. If that makes
Do you
sense.
wanna do it in increments, you wanna bring it all back at one time? You wanna say bring the apparatus back in March, bring the equipment back in April or May?
Yeah, let's do that. That gives, yeah, because that's.
We can do it in stages.
Let's do it in stages, yeah. That makes sense.
Brian, just one more thing, I'd like to interject on what Chris just went over. Hopefully, and I'm just saying this, hopefully, since the early 90s, I would assume, the association as we got going, and got our feet on the ground good, the county's always funded 2 fire trucks, you know, to some degree. I think it started off $30,000 years ago, it was just up to more than that, you know, now, but up to 140. And then it started, there weren't that many rescue squads in the county, okay? You know, I mean, Roswell came along, Mount Hermon, Ringo, Blyas, you know, Log Road was down there. Of course, you had some of them that's already shut down. But anyway, there weren't that many rescue squads. So as time went on, We had 2 fire trucks funded, and we had 2 ambulances funded, okay? So I know in going forward into this next year, and reading what's out here, you got maybe 2 fire trucks, pumper tanker, and then a brush truck, so that's 3 trucks, okay, firing them. I don't see anything for ambulance in. With the CARES Act, as 4 ambulances went to some of the county departments. So the only thing I would like to see still and going forward, if we can, or don't let it slip away year after next, is the budget for the rescue trucks, okay? The rescue trucks, and trust me, we've been in transport for 20 years. I'm just telling you, being in them, running a lot, you talk to anybody in here, as Blair sitting right there, and Broswell, and Mount Hermon, and Tunstall, Gretna, and Ringo, 80% of your business, I'm telling you, 80+% of your business is rescue, okay? My ambulances go out all the time, and everybody else's does. They run all the time. And you about 80%, Carol? Ray, y'all about 80? You know, so I'm just saying, every one time the fire truck goes out, the ambulance is going out 80. So you wear and tear them, okay? I got one sitting in the shop right now. It really won't work down. $2,500 maintenance expense. Fix this, fix this, fix this. You know, there's a lot of money you put back in these things, trust me. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, we need to look that you could look at the county costs. They're running, what, 7,500, 8,000 a year. 80% of them.
Over 8,000.
Yeah, 80% of it is gonna be rescue, so them ambulances live on the road, okay? You gotta have your fire trucks, don't get me wrong, but the ambulances live on the road. It's like you driving your car to work 5 days a week, you take a special car to church on Sunday. About what it amounts to. So, you know, we don't wanna lose that rescue truck down the road, you know?
I don't see that happening. I think the reason I didn't put ambulance cost was not some reason.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's not gonna go
Full
forward.
carriage truck, but still. And I may say on the fire truck, and I shut my mouth, on the fire truck, our last meeting, actually me and Dean sat down with Chris. So what we're doing at the December meeting, okay, Chris has sent out the form, you know, for your apparatus, okay? So all chiefs at stations got a form to fill out for putting in for apparatus like we've done for the last 30 years, okay? And this right here, I assume now will come to Chris and Mike and this group of people here, you know, to decide. The fire association, when we meet by Christmas, done on December 2, we will decide. You know, we look at it, we always have and take a vote. You know, like Carolyn will get up and say, hey, Broswell needs a pump, and this is why we're trying to replace a 1970 truck. And then somebody like, say, Troy would get up, or Ben would get up, and present your case for your department. Why you want a new truck, and what you're replacing, and the cost of it. You gotta show your department has the money to help pay for the rest of it, if the county helps you, okay? So we've already sent the forms out, Chris has. Each department's got that. That will come back to the fire chief's meeting December 2. I'm assuming we'll decide on two people for a truck, or 3 people for a truck, or you got 3 in it, and bring it back to y'all, you know, and go forward on that. So that process is still ongoing, okay? All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anything else we look forward to, Mr. Sweet? All right. Agency fund review, ad hoc committee creation.
We have had several conversations off and on about this. We did some work on this for this last budget, but, you know, we've really got to do some serious work coming up for next year. The way we're funding is still the way it should be. There's agencies out there that protect a high amount of property, run a lot of calls, and they make less money than some of the other agencies. So we really need to sit down, and it's gonna hurt. I mean, some people may lose money. There's no way around. There's only so much money to divide up. So realistically, yes, people will lose money. I don't know how to make that not happen. But we've got to fund, you know, appropriately. Cascade made a good point when they were looking at, you know, they're doing operations now, fire and EMS, and you have some agencies just doing fire that don't want to do volume. They're making a whole lot more money. So we've got to come up with a better solution. But you know, I think an ad hoc committee, and I will work with that and give them whatever they need. You know, I've looked at different ways to do this. I've racked my brain over how to make it.
And last time I was on that committee, and Well, it's not good luck, I will be honest.
It's hard.
Cause at the end of the day, somebody's probably gonna lose money, and, you know, it's hard to pick and choose, cause they all deserve the money, so it's no real easy way. We did every different configuration you could of the figures, and, you know, it's just what it was. So. I think you gotta take in, I mean, the building, the property protection, I think Chris has put that on there. I mean, you gotta take that into play, and then you gotta look at the call volume. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, we can't leave out the little guys, the connections and renames. I'm just talking about my people on the north end. I don't know the south end that well, but the little guys gotta have a little bit of money to operate. Not trying to say to run them out of town, but when you got a department running 100 calls a year, and I run that in a month, you know, and there's several agencies to do that. You just gotta, we gotta look at the call volume and the stations that are putting trucks on the road and protecting this property as well.
So Chris, when I'm looking at this spreadsheet, just for clarification, on the fire department side, we talked about the year awarded total amount of funding. That is for apparatus purchases, is that correct?
Yeah, that's a part of it, see,
So that, the funding we're talking about though is actually the block funding?
yeah, that's the block money,
Annual
that's
block
their operational money, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ben's right, you know, when we started this, I set a minimum that at least the smaller agencies would get a minimum amount of funding because they don't have the people to draw from to do fundraising.
Yeah, they usually have your less population to do fundraising. I'm like, you know, I know Climax, they're a good group of guys out there, but they just don't have much population, much anything out there. They gotta have help, a little bit of help. You
You know, use
know?
Riverbend's example, they run a lot of calls, but they're landlocked down here, there's not so much fundraising you can do. But they don't, you know, they don't spend anything extravagant, they get by, and when you look at some of the 990s, what the county gives them is what some of the smaller agencies truly, that's their major fund, is what the county does. So, you know, we've gotta watch out for those, make sure we take care of those, right?
All right, so let's consider putting together an ad hoc committee. This is Brian talking, okay? My preference would be folks that are not affiliated with organizations. That way, when it's all said and done, nobody can sit back and say, well, they tried to scratch their own back, okay? To keep it fair and above board. And that's why I'm glad we've got folks on the commission that are citizens of ours that are not affiliated directly with the organizations. With that being said, Mr. Angier, would you consider serving on this? All right, thank you. Mr. Loves. Mr. Sullivan, would you consider that?
I'm on the board as director of the Ringo, to be a little conflict from what you were talking about.
I don't necessarily have a problem with it because you're a businessman.
That's what I was gonna say, we need somebody that's a business.
You're a
At the
businessman.
end of the day,
That, to me, that trumps that, because I don't think, I honestly, knowing you, I don't think you're gonna do anything to benefit the agency you're affiliated with on their
As
board.
long as everybody understands that, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Because I think the fact that the business experience y'all bring to the table, the three of y'all, and the fact you're predominantly independent from all of that. Does anybody have any concerns with that? No.
And I'm glad y'all are looking at doing it this way, because I know when I was on that committee last year, most people didn't show up. So hopefully you guys will do a better job of that. I don't remember who was on it, but most times it's just me and Chris, and I told Chris I felt bad about even being there, because, you know, obviously my agency was looking to get the big increase, and then there was other agencies losing money, and I said, well, you know, that don't look right, me sitting in here saying to do that, so, you know, I think that's the perfect way to do it.
All right.
And I did text Chris before this meeting, and, you know, as long as he's helping them, assisting them, you know, because we do the job every day, so we kind of know what we need, so they're gonna need that input, and that businessman, they can help, you know, crunch those numbers, but he needs to be there to say, hey, this is kind of what they gotta have to operate, you know, this is what they do on a daily basis, so.
Let me ask a question, the terms for each one of the board members, I'm not sure what our terms are, but some of us are gonna be rotating off some spring of the year, is that correct?
You just think you're gonna be rotating.
Well, some of them, I think I got a 2-year term, but I think,
That's a good point.
Well, January.
well, somebody only get right into
So
it.
I think So Chris, I guess to address that, when would we like to see this due by?
Well, we're gonna have to get this, well,
At latest, we're waiting.
February, probably, no, there's more.
So for those possibly rotating off, if they could pull off by January in 60 days?
Oh, of course, okay, so,
So this committee.
if they rotate, I mean, they can be reappointed.
But what I was gonna say though is if we can set a timeline for 60 days,
Yeah, we can do
Is
that.
it in January, is your real one?
I think.
does that kind of go to what you're talking, Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah.
So let me tell you who's up for reappointment, and would be Tim Duffy, Brian Garrett, Chuck Elgier.
And that's in January, meeting? Do you gentlemen think it'd be realistic to maybe have some type of proposal to bring back for the January meeting about how to change the funding up?
We could, I think we can work through somewhere.
Y'all think that's realistic?
Try.
So back to that previous group, is there anything that's been put together in any manner that they could take and run with? Or-
As far as,
What we did, we ended up increasing everybody's, that's how we,
Yeah.
last time.
but we had more money.
We had more money there. But we increased everybody got a little bit of an increase. And then, of course, they gave us a big chunk, one-time chunk kind of to bring us up for all the EMS that we had absorbed. But, you know, since then, I think you've seen a lot of issues with departments that are running a lot, and they're not getting as much, so.
I'm just thinking to speed the process of this group, if you got stuff.
I can send them statistics and data and
If
everything.
if you guys have stuff that just doesn't work, it's no need of them going down there.
No, I can send them all kinds of different stuff. I mean, I have brainstormed this till, I mean, literally, I can't tell you how much I thought, trying to figure out how to do this. Mr. Engineer and I talked about it a few times, in fact, so, I can send them some statistics on that.
Is
Some
there-
things that would help with some decision making.
Is there a municipality out there that's doing something similar to this? That we could
Not that I
steal?
know of. I've been, no, cause you know, like, I use Franklin County as an example, they give everybody the same amount of money in the end, but they pay for all the equipment, they pay for all their apparatus. You know. Henry County divides up different ways, you know, I've been, myself and the region fire chiefs started having lunch every other month and talking about those kind of things and sharing ideas and, you know, we talked about that the other day, and I think everybody likes it. In fact, the other counties have started looking at how we're doing it, they kind of like it, we've done some of this and maybe fun, and, you know, I think we're setting some examples there.
I know Campbell, they're pretty much all funded the same,
Yeah.
but they give an increase on, like, an engine, their board puts $385,000 towards an engine. Turnout gear, they buy turnout gear for them. Chief ride, they buy the chief ride, so it's a big difference there. We get more money in the pot each year from the county, but they get to be ticket items bought for them, so.
When you talking about getting back to you about January, you talking about the end of January?
January meeting, yes.
January meeting, yeah.
Okay, the end of
We
January.
can do it like
So if y'all will do that, I appreciate that, Mr. Love, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Andrew, I appreciate that. Look forward to seeing what y'all come up with.
that. And I'll tell you, I mean, I'll put my Mr. Snedden hat on just for a minute. I don't know, next year's budget, because we don't know what the General Assembly's gonna do still and stuff. So, you know, there's gonna be a lot of up in the air still for what's gonna happen next year. So those things we gotta keep in mind as we move forward.
We're probably headed towards on shutdown.
I mean, we just don't know what's going on about it. And, you know, the General Assembly, when the General Assembly's in session, nobody's home is secure. Nobody's property is secure, so, you know, it's food for thought, so.
Well, thank you, Jim, appreciate that. All right, matters from commissioners. All right, Mr. Sears.
I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you can enjoy some family time.
Steve Neal, anything else? Ben?
Chris, is there any e-block classes coming up? It's probably not appropriate time, but I just need to,
Not off the top of my head, I don't know. We need one, we can certainly,
I need one, brother. I got several people.
so we can get it,
I mean, I'm sure there's other agencies up there as well. The only thing I have, the last meeting, I asked for all the commissioners to get a copy of the inventory list that you guys done for the entire Aiken County. I think that'll kind of help the commissioners see what departments have, what, and So if you could get that. to-
I've got that, and I'm sorry I haven't shared it yet. I've still got to actually put it all together in an easy way y'all can read it, because it was a ton of information.
That's all I got. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, by the way.
Mr. Andrews.
Just happy Thanksgiving.
Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you.
Love you. Vice Chair.
Same thing, happy Thanksgiving, and then I kind of a comment to bring everybody back to what we talked about in the last meeting, and I've encountered this twice since the last meeting. Please talk to the people that are driving their personal vehicles to scenes. I've been passed by 2 different personal vehicles in excess of 80 miles an hour. So we talked about it. There's potential litigation to come from that. Citizens hurt by it. Not something somebody told me, but something that I experienced. So please get back to your members and tell them we have to slow these personal vehicles down.
I just want, I'll reiterate again what Mr. Scruggs said. Please, 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 on your POVs, tell your members, encourage them to slow down. Those red lights don't mean anything in a personal vehicle. There's scene markers only when you get there to keep people from hitting your vehicle behind the road. It gives you no right to violate posted driving laws. And the state police are out there, the local county law enforcement is out there, the city officials are out there, and they're gonna crack down on it, I promise. They're gonna crack down on it. So encourage your members to really watch what they're doing. Other than, yes, sir.
Can you go back to me just for a second?
Yes, sir.
On that, and I agree with Mr. Scruggs, we just had a young man on our department, we take care of it. He had one of the deputies fast, going fast, and we talked to him. Well, I remember is, what we do with Grudline, this is something I think the county needs to look at, maybe putting in an SOP or whatever, it would be hard to police, but, you know, cluttering, not just going fast to a scene, because that's very bad as well, like you said, because the little red lights you have don't give you no right to speed or anything else, plus you put people's life in danger. But also the cluttering of on-scene POVs. I mean, I pulled up to a fire before and had to get people to move their vehicles so I could get the engine to the fire. So, you know, what we do at Rutland, or try to do as best we can, is you are not allowed to go to the scene unless it's in your direct route to the station. So you're supposed to come to the station, get on the truck, and go to the scene. Now, we allow our chief officers to go directly to the scene so they can establish that command and get that roll going and do their 360 and all that. But that's something that may in the future, if we looked at it as a countywide, and maybe not, you know, at least try to train on that, not cluttering up so many scenes with all these vehicles. If you don't have a fire engine, you're not doing any good on the scene. I don't need somebody running around the radio, you know, hose in their hand or whatever. So that's just one I wanted to add, kind of a side note from what y'all know.
I'd also like to thank, take it back to you folks, chiefs, and representatives, agencies here. I listen to the radio 23 and a half hours a day. I do, anybody knows me knows that. I listen to the city, the county, I monitor all of it. You've had some pretty significant calls, and you've handled it. You've handled it, you've done well. So tell you people, keep up the good work, because that's what's making the wheels turn around, and getting the job done. Other than that, I want to wish everybody a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much. And we'll see y'all back in January. At this point,
Ray needs to read us.
Yes, sir.
He needs to read us in the closed
we're going to
session.
go into closed session.
Yes, we have one closed session matter tonight. It's legal authority, Virginia Code Section 2.23711AA. Subject matter is Keeling Volunteer Fire Department Board of Directors Mass Resignation. Purpose is legal consultation / advice regarding the same. So we need a motion, a second, any discussion, and a vote to go into closed session for that matter.
We're not going to take a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion, second, any discussion before we take a vote to go into closed session? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Be it resolved that at the Pittsylvania County Fire and Rescue Commission on November 24th, 2020, the committee hereby certifies by a recorded vote that to the best of each committee member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, the Act, and identified in the motion, authorizing the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. If any member believes that there was a departure from the requirements of the act, he shall so state prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure. The statement shall be recorded in the committee's minutes. The vote. Brian Garrett. Brian Fox.
Yes.
Ben Meeks.
Yes.
Ron Scale.
Yes.
Chuck Angier.
Yes.
Bobby Lovelace.
Yes.
Keith Scruggs.
Yes.
Bert Stokes.
Yes.
All right, the meeting's closed, meeting has been certified. So the only agenda item we have now is
Adjourned.
adjournment.
I'm taking a motion to adjourn. So moved. All in favor, y'all have a nice, thank you.
All right, we have-